This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on The South Today, a Southern District Health Board member resigns today after using her position to criticise a supermarket chain. The signing of the armistice is commemorated across the South Island despite COVID-19 limitations. And a piece of Dunedin history is unearthed as road crews work to improve parts of the Wharf area. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Melissa Barton. Southern DHB board member Ilka Bakewis has apologised and resigned after using her elected representative status to voice a personal opinion on vaccine mandates. She recently emailed Countdown Supermarket, criticising the chain's proposal for a vaccine mandate for staff.
Southern District Health Board member Ilka Bakewis has been in the spotlight for expressing views at odds with the majority of her colleagues. She initially apologised after using her status as an elected board member to complain to Countdown about a proposed vaccine mandate for employees. And this afternoon she resigned from her elected position on the board, saying,
I remain passionate about the health and well-being of the community and have been privileged to work with many similarly committed people over the past 2 years in my role.
Her decision followed revelations on RNZ. Bakewis had sent a message to an internal Countdown email address set up to gather feedback from staff. The company wanted to gauge staff response on a proposal to have all employees vaccinated.
I'm writing as a publicly elected official of the Southern DHB to say that it is abhorrent that you would impose a vaccine mandate on your staff. It's completely amoral, unethical and medically unnecessary.
Bakewis was elected in the Otago constituency at the last elections and claims she was writing in a personal capacity.
I thought I made it clear in the email that that was my opinion. It was my mistake. I should have written down that was my opinion alone and not that of the DHB.
She says her resignation is a personal decision and won't be making further comment about the matter. Earlier this month at a health board meeting, Bakewis was the only member to vote against the motion, committing to vaccinate as many people as possible across the Southern DHB's area.
I'm going to say that it's been passed, I think.
I would like to, I say, with all due respect to the severity of COVID and the impact that it will have on our community and our staff, I don't feel comfortable supporting this motion because of the unknowns surrounding vaccine reactions.
Okay, so are you going to vote against it or abstain?
I'm going to vote against it, I'm sorry.
Board Chairman Pete Hodgson has accepted Bakewis's resignation, thanking her for her contributions on a range of health topics over the past 2 years. It's understood no replacement will be needed following her departure. In Dunedin, The South Today.
A Housing New Zealand unit in the Dunedin suburb of St Clair has been badly damaged in a fire overnight. Fire crews were called to the Lock Street property around 3 this morning to find the dwelling well involved when they arrived. Fire and Emergency New Zealand says the end flat of a set of 4 was severely damaged and the neighbouring unit had smoke and roof damage. Norris said the single occupant of the house got out safely. 4 appliances attended. Fire investigators were at the scene mid-morning but say the cause of the blaze wasn't known. Dunedin's public service for Armistice Day was replaced by a recorded video one this year. Broadcast on Channel 39 this morning and also streamed online. The lower South Island was filled with subdued commemorations today due to COVID-19 crowd restrictions. Alert Level 2 limits the number of people allowed at events, but South Islanders were able to honour Armistice Day in a variety of ways.
The signing of the armistice, which ended World War I hostilities, was commemorated for the 103rd time with smaller ceremonies. COVID-19 restrictions limited the number of people who could gather, but the day was particularly significant at the Tapanui RSA, where 100-year-old Bill Ralston gave the ode.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. And at the going down of the sun, And in the morning, we will remember then.
The local RSA says the World War II veterans' presence is an inspiration for younger generations.
We still have Bill, and we have Bill's son, and we have Bill's grandson, and we have his great-grandchild. And that's what today is all about, and that's what Anzac Day is all about, bringing those young people back into the fold and getting them to get a real understanding.
In Oamaru, Armistice Day was marked with a short outdoor service at the Garden of Memories. Waitaki District Councillor and former Royal New Zealand Air Force Flight Lieutenant Kelly Williams reflected on the sacrifices endured by the young men on the bloodied battlefields of France and Belgium.
They didn't necessarily want to leave their homes and their families in order to travel halfway around the world to kill and maim others or to be attacked themselves and watch their friends die. They didn't necessarily want to leave behind those that were killed on foreign soils to be buried in unnamed graves.
In Wanaka, the annual ceremony was observed at the town's war memorial, with people laying poppies to remember the local lads who never came back, their names listed on the Wanaka cenotaph. A small group gathered for a wreath-laying ceremony at the Belclutha cenotaph, with white crosses naming each of the fallen young from the local area. An Armistice Day service was also held in Invercargill, with a large group, including local dignitaries and former soldiers, gathered to lay poppies and wreaths at the South Invercargill War Memorial on Ellis Road. In Arrowtown, a service was held at the nearby Soldiers' Cenotaph. Poppies and wreaths were laid in memories of those who had died, not just in the First World War, but the many wars that followed.
It's a very important day where we remember those members of our communities and our armed forces who have paid the ultimate sacrifice, not only in the First World War, but in numerous conflicts since then.
There were no formal celebrations of Armistice Day in Alexandria's Pioneer Park this year, but the day was still marked with the firing of a 25-pounder gun. Across the regions, the South today.
It appears Dunedin is losing another The Warehouse store. First Union organiser Poppy Stowell says the union was informed today that the Mosgiel branch would close. The closure was announced during a meeting with staff which union representatives were not invited to. It's the second time in a year the Warehouse has closed a store in Dunedin, following the Dunedin Central store on McGlagan Street last August. An old stone roadway dating back to the 1880s has been uncovered during roadworks in Dunedin. And while the roadway gives a glimpse into the past, it's been decided to cover it up again rather than trying to move it somewhere else, as happened with the historic Manuka Causeway.
Rediscovered during roadworks near Dunedin's Wharf, this historic stone roadway dates back to almost 140 years ago and was associated with a railway goods shed that once stood here. Archaeologist Braden McLean is impressed with the glimpse of history unveiled with this neatly laid bluestone.
We do find quite a bit of bluestone around Dunedin in terms of curbing and other roading stuff. But yeah, to find something of this scale and in really good condition is really quite special.
In the late 1800s, the stone roadway would have served Dunedin well, as it was on a recently reclaimed and muddy site. It was eventually asphalted over when the Wharf Street overbridge was built in the 1970s. And just like then, the councils decided to leave it intact where it is.
If we were dealing with a smaller area that could have been lifted in its entirety, it would have been a completely different situation, but we don't want to impact on the site. It's in such good condition that the decision was made just to keep it as is and preserve it.
The historic roadway was uncovered during work being carried out by the DCC to create an arterial route for the new hospital build. Senior Project Manager Cecile Gunathelika says the stonework will remain on site under a new layer of seal.
When they were building this bridge, it was asphalted, then it preserved very well. Then we are going to do the same thing. That is the advice we got from archaeologists.
Work on the harbour arterial improvements is set to be carried out in 4 stages between now and 2027. In Dunedin, the South today.
Still to come on the south today. Christchurch is set to get another impressive artwork installed, and we have the latest edition of Global Insight with International Affairs commentator Professor Robert Patman.
Every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell menswear, it fits.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
John's doubled down for Singles Day. For the 11th of the 11th, he's taken 22% off everything. Singles Day double down. This weekend at My Mate John.
And My Mate John.
I think the best thing about it is we're all there to ride safely and deliver that message to, some of the kids that are out there, hopefully showcase that riders and drivers can integrate together. So yeah, it's just being part of sharing that message really of riding safely when you're out on the road.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Welcome back. An impressive giant artwork is set to be installed in the foyer of Te Pai, Christchurch, ahead of the convention centre's opening later this year. The three coral-shaped installations have been created by Ngāi Tahu artist Loni Hutchinson. The artworks are constructed using 11,000 glass and acrylic beads and have a combined weight of just over a tonne.
Currently we are assembling the beads onto strands for the artwork Hana, which comprises of 3 chandelier type works.
Hana means to illuminate, with the artwork designed to be a magnet for visitors. The Te Pai Christchurch Convention Centre is due to open in December, just in time to host events in the lead up to Christmas. A host of new townhouses are being developed around Dunedin, aimed at catering to the city's strong population growth. The new hospital build, along with capital programs by the University and City Council, are set to increase demand further as house prices continue to soar.
Building up in St Kilda as Dunedin's population rises. Strong demand for new homes has encouraged Dunedin company Blue Sky Property Group to invest heavily in the city, with projects like the hospital build and Central City upgrades expected to bring more workers here.
Dunedin's playing catch up in regards to population growth. We haven't had much building go on in the last 10 years, so we've got that part as a catch up game. But also we do have a lot of infrastructure spending going on. And when we think of infrastructure spending, the first thing that comes to mind is the hospital build.
The developers are turning a range of residential sites in St Kilda and Musselburgh into modern, mid-sized townhouses, appealing to a mix of people.
First home buyers, we've also got young families, we've got downsizers, we have people from out of town wanting a city pad, but the majority is actually investors, people buying investment property, looking for that increased rental return.
This development of 5 two-bedroom townhouses in Ascot Street is the first of 7 projects being carried out here.
We've sold down 40 townhouses and we're looking just to go through the build program now. We're also looking to expand, and next year we're aiming to do 100 townhouses and really help and alleviate the supply of properties in Dunedin.
Latest figures from QV show the average Dunedin house price crossed the $700,000 threshold for the first time last month. That's close to what these brand new townhouses recently sold for. Fairburn says demand is very strong for new properties, ensuring these low maintenance units are snapped up straight away.
When we launch one to the market, they do last probably about 3 hours on the market. Quickest one sold out for, but mostly within the first day of launch they're all sold, and they have backup buyers ready and waiting as well.
Not quite the old quarter-acre dream, but developers say these kinds of homes are a key part of our housing future. In Dunedin, The South Today.
In today's Global Insight, Professor Robert Patman discusses Andrew Little's speech on national security. The International Affairs commentator says Little's speech reveals important developments in New Zealand's foreign policy.
Kia ora, I'm Bruce Munro, and with me is International Relations Specialist Professor Robert Patman, and this is Global Insight. Last week, Andrew Little, the Minister responsible for New Zealand's spy agencies, gave an important national security speech. But it was given little attention. Welcome, Robert.
Morena, Bruce.
What was it that Andrew Little actually said?
Basically, as the Minister responsible for New Zealand SIS and also oversight of GCSB, it was an important speech. I think it was much more candid about the work that these agencies do, and he spelt out a couple of things which I think is very useful for us in New Zealand to hear. Firstly, national security, which these agencies are charged with helping to support and protect. National security is about protecting and defending key values for all New Zealanders. What are those values? Well, commitment to universal human rights, democracy, the rule of law. And he also pointed out in the speech that these values are under assault and threat in a very real fashion. He made it quite clear that while terrorism, particularly after the events of Christchurch and the attack in New Lynn, so these 2 very traumatic attacks in the last 2 years, has conveyed to New Zealanders that we're not immune from this trend of transnational terrorism. But at the same time, while he fully recognised the importance of this threat, he pointed out a number of other threats to these values that New Zealanders are committed to. And threats such as foreign espionage, threats such as foreign interference. These are the sort of things that he mentioned in his speech.
What is the significance of that speech?
Firstly, he pointed out that one of the key findings of the Royal Commission into the Royal Commission, which looked into the terrorist atrocity which killed 51 people in Christchurch in March 2019, one of its key findings was the view that social cohesion was a key counterweight to the threat of terrorism. And he pointed out that this was something the government was taking very seriously. Social cohesion and national security could not be divorced.
Thank you, Robert. And thank you for watching. Catch us next time on Global Insight. Ka kite anō.
And you can watch the full interview with Professor Patman online at odt.co.nz. Still to come on The South today. A Dunedin architect takes a novel approach to home renovation, and we take a look at tomorrow's weather for you.
Every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell menswear, it fits.
MTF Finance can help you turn the key on your next vehicle with a loan made just for you. TCs and lending criteria apply.
Hi, my name's Matt and I'm the Dines Group CEO. Dines is a company that's focused on selling logistics solutions to its customers. We're passionate about selling efficiency and we've been selling efficiency for over 50 years now.
John's doubled down for Singles Day. For the 11th of the 11th, he's taken 22% off everything. Singles Day double down. Fit out your bachelor pad, upgrade that single bed, or just treat yourself to some new furniture this weekend at My Mate John's. Singles Day double down. 22% off everything. This weekend only at John's Furniture Warehouse, Stafford Street.
Where did you get that furniture from? Stafford Street. And My Mate John.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Just plan your route a little bit, choose nice and quiet roads. In the winter it's always nice to ride north and south, that way you get the driest route and less likely to hit black ice.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Welcome back. A Dunedin architect is renovating her house in an unusual way. Valerie Schulberg's classic villa is currently sitting on stilts, while the underneath of the house gets a makeover.
A 100-year-old house suspended by metal poles. This Dunedin villa belongs to architect Valerie Schulberg, who's turning her designing skills to the interior of her own home. Schilberg and her husband bought the house about 8 years ago and are converting the downstairs into something a little more homely.
We never really considered using it, but other than storage, but it had, it was really close to 2.4 meters, and so, it just seemed like the right height for us.
The house is being held up by 4 full-length beams on a series of steel posts, and while it is stable, a lot of planning has to go into each step. Restoring buildings is a familiar project for Schilberg, who's dedicated the past 20 years to architecture.
My idea is I think it's better to restore and reuse buildings than to start over with something new. And I like the classical villa style, and
while embracing the classic style, some of the upgrades will still be on show to work in a modern twist. The renovation is expected to be completed in about 6 months. In Dunedin, the South Today. In Dunedin, the South Today.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. Southern DHB member Ilka Bakers has resigned after using her position to criticise a supermarket chain. The signing of the armistice is commemorated across the South Island despite COVID-19 limitations. And a piece of Dunedin history is unearthed as road crews work to improve parts of the Wharf area. And now a look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. Welcome, Joe Simpson. What have you got for us in tomorrow's paper?
We have more reactions on Ilka Bakers' resignation. The team at Animation Research have received the Emmy and have dressed up for the occasion. A rural North Otago school has been left scrambling after one of their bus drivers has left due to the vaccine mandate deadline, and Mosgiel is the second of Dunedin's 3 warehouses to close.
Wow, so there's something for everyone in tomorrow's paper, and you can catch that in tomorrow's ODT. And now it's time for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Beginning with the southern view, St Clair Beach nearing lunchtime today. Looking at the situation, areas of rain will start developing tomorrow. It will be warm temperatures with winds strong in most inland areas with a risk of gales. Colder westerlies are on the way for the weekend. Starting at the northwest of the South Island, prepare for rain and strong winds in this region. Westport sees a high of 16 degrees and Greymouth 17. Moving to the northeast, the wet weather continues for both centres here. Blenheim has strong winds with scattered showers and 22, while Nelson can expect scattered showers, moderate to strong winds and 19 degrees. As we reach Canterbury, Kaikoura escapes the wet weather but will see decent cloud cover with 21 degrees. Christchurch and Ashburton also have a bit of cloud with strong winds, Christchurch 23 and Ashburton 24. Looking at what's in store for the southern towns, the Catlins, Balclutha, Lumsden and Gore can all expect strong westerlies with rain easing later on and 19. Travelling westwards to the Central Lakes, Wanaka, Queenstown and Alexandra are in for strong northwesterlies which will be turning gusty in Alexandra with some rain. Wanaka and Alexandra reach 20 degrees, Queenstown 19 and Te Anau can expect strong westerlies with rain and a high of 17. And in the northern towns along the coast, Timaru can expect strong northwesterlies with high cloud and 25. Oamaru is in for fresh northerlies with some rain and a high of 24. Inland at Taizo and Amarama, there'll be strong northwesterlies, bringing some rain and a high of 20. In Dunedin, gusty northeasterlies tonight with some rain developing and a low of 11. Tomorrow's overcast with light rain, and during the afternoon there'll be moderate northerlies, a high of 24 and a low of 13. And there's going to be rain on Saturday with colder southerlies developing, a high of 14 and a low of 9. And in Invercargill, rain developing tonight with strong northwesterlies and 13 degrees. Tomorrow's overcast with rain turning to showers during the afternoon, which will tend to be cold gusty southerlies, a high of 19 and a low of 11. And it's going to be cloudy with showers and fresh cold southwesterlies on Saturday. 13's the high and 8 is the low. And that's the news for this Thursday. And for the latest news from the Southern Region, head online to odt.co.nz. Remember to like and follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.